airlines. Okay, so let's start with it now. What exactly aviation is? According to your idea, anyone? What is
A-
aviation?
Aviation management is something which is a management deals about all the aviation handles, aviation operations, cargo management, and safety instructions in aviation, which will help in the customer support and everything, man. That's aviation in my point of view.
Okay, so what they are entirely focused on? So what do you mean to say that they are entirely focused on?
Travel, tourism, and other things.
Service, ma'am.
Surveys. Yeah, if you're, yeah, they are majorly focused on travel, yes, but if your travel, as in when I said, if your business needs to improve, first and foremost, you should know whether it is a product or it is a service. So it is a service rendered to your customers. So if your customers are happy, your flying moves on. Now, if you take an example of an airline, if they are not happy with your service, who will travel in the next point? So if you learn aviation management, the major thing which should come into your mind is not just aviation, but also your business. Now, if at all you're going to work after the course, you're going to work for an airline, then you should be knowing why you're working for that airline. Because you yourself, when you're wearing the uniform of an airline, you represent the airline as in general. You are not a person there, you are a company there. So you should know what you need to be supporting the your organization for, in what needs you need to be supporting. It's not just selling of the tickets, it's not just for the reservations. It is like you are showing you are representing the country, or sorry, you're representing the organization. So that is how the thing is. Now if you talk about the Air India staffs, okay, they have an extra job because they are representing their country and they're also representing their airline. So since they are the national carrier, they need to know what Indian cultures, traditions, and all those things are. So that is the reason if you see their uniforms, it is entirely different compared to the other airlines, okay, uniforms, because airlines uniforms are totally modern. Most of the people come into aviation only because they are glamorous, but once inside process are so tough, it will. But it's a fun working in aviation. Okay, now let's quickly move on. Now we'll see what exactly aviation industry is. Now aviation industry started in the 18th century with just a very old scientist. So please don't keep in mind it is the Wright brothers. No, Wright brothers had come up later, okay, who started the aircrafts, okay, part of an aircraft. Now in the 18th century there was just kind of mechanical flights, okay. Then the hot air balloon came into existence, okay. People started creating the hot air balloons, which was filled with the hydrogen gas. Now and there was an apparatus also which was capable of the atmospheric displacement. That is, if any changes were in the atmosphere, these apparatus used to change the displacement. The buoyancy would be changing. So in the 18th century they started up this hot air balloon, okay. Then later on the first powered airplane, that is the first powered aircraft, was actually created by the Wright brothers, which was in 1900. So it would be good if you quickly make down some running notes. So I don't believe that was there in the PPT. So even if you take down some notes which is coming out of my mouth, that will also be a little good, because that is where students need to not to be sit silently. So let's quickly make that a note. So 1900 was the year which the Wright brothers started the aircraft. That is the first powered airplane was created in 1900, okay. Since that time, that is since 1900, aviation grew drastically. That is, after the Wright brothers created the powered airplane, technologically it started improvising itself. So every year there was a change happening to the aircraft, airplanes, okay, the aviation industry, because new innovations were brought up into that. Okay. Now, why was this aviation started, or for what reason it was started? The major thing, human beings, okay, they would love to always invent things. And the second thing was they had a tend to fly. Okay, so when they saw the, when before 1900, when people saw that, birds were flying, so they had a tendency that they should also fly. So that is where they created the hot air balloon. So bird is the main, etymology for them, so that they should be, they had that likeness to fly. Now, quickly moving on to the history. History is, a very early legends, which I told you it started from the 18th century. Okay, then many such sorts of myths came up, stating that no, this won't be fine, this hot air won't be fine, this methane gas balloon wouldn't be fine. So every year, so that is what I'm telling you, every year there was a development, every year there was a scientist, or every year there were some sort of people who were coming up with many assumptions or suggestions to develop this aircraft. Okay. Now, as and when, it's a long history. If you go, you have lots and lots, because from the 18th century, you need to be reading it. Then at the World War II, how the Cessnas came up, all these things are there. So let's not go into deeply into that, because you'll be breaking your head. Let's totally move on to agenda now. What is the agenda of this thing? Now, I will be taking you the characteristics, history, current scenario, the market size of the aviation, then growth rate, okay, how the growth rate goes, then the domestic airlines, what are all the domestic airlines, then the challenges faced. So I'm covering today aviation introduction to and the challenges and growth. So this is the topic for my today. So I have told you what exactly all these things is. It's just a brief introduction I have given you. Then we will quickly move on to SWOT analysis. My point of view, SWOT analysis is actually not there in your syllabus, but it is good to understand what is SWOT analysis in aviation industry, because as and when your semester increases, or let's say you are going for higher studies, this SWOT analysis would be asked. So it's just an introduction to SWOT analysis, so do not break your heads. Then PPP in airport infrastructure. So what is the aircraft in airports infrastructure? What kind of airports are there? So who are the players in those kinds of airports? So Greenfield Airport, who are the players? Indigos, JetBlues, SpiceJet, GoAir, Summarization. So we are only taking up the Greenfield. We are not going for the other airports, okay, other airport structures like your military airports and all those things. No, we don't require that, because we are totally into domestic one. So we will focus on the Greenfield aircraft, okay, airport. Let's move on. Is there any doubt in this? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, moving on to the history. Now, aviation is a practical aspect. So whatever I told you, aviation is not just your putting up your theory process. Okay, it is not theory. It is totally a practical thing. Okay, which you need to be doing. Now, it could be anything. Let's say you're doing as a pilot. You're going to work as a pilot. Okay, the first officer, the senior pilot, or anything, or you're going to be as a cabin crew, or you're going to be as a ground staff, or you're going to be as a reservation agent, or you're going to be as a security staff, or you're going to be as a ramp staff. So you have many opportunities as such. So it's not just the theory thing. So you're not putting up any sort of theory things in that. Okay, so it is totally the company's training which you would be taking up. So they have a practical training which would be happening in the airport itself. So it is, what exactly is the aviation is the art of aeronautics. Okay, so you have engineers. So it is not just your customer service. You also have the internal trainings as aeronautics. Then how you design the aircraft. Now that comes when you are working for any, manufacturing companies, as your Boeing, your Airbus. Okay, so your design, then your development, your production, your operation, and use of aircraft, as in where you will be using these. So now since the technology has come up faster, we are not going to any lighter aircraft. We are always using the heavier aircrafts, right? Now, let's say Boeing 777, Boeing Airbus 380. These and all are the higher and heavier aircrafts which we are using in today's life. Okay. Now, so it is not just the theory one, it is also the practical one which we are using. Next point, the word aviation was coined by French writer. So he was the one who gave this name called as aviation. So he was a naval officer, Gabriel Lalande, in 1863. Okay, from the Webb Aviator. So when he was traveling on the ship. Okay, so since he was a naval officer and he was traveling on a ship, Mr. Gabriel gave this name to the by a verbal contact, just a verbal contact. Let's keep it as an aviation, but that kept on spreading as a a word of mouth, and the word aviation came into existence. Now, next one. Aviation industry refers to not it is a practical aspect, but it also refers to the industries, organizations, so various aspects of aviation. So it is like it refers not only to the process, whatever you're doing, the procedures, whatever you're doing, but it also refers to certain organizations. So as I said, you are working for, oh yeah, you're working for Indigo Airlines. Okay. Oh yeah, you're working for airport, you're working for Boeing, you're working for Airbus, whatever it is. First and foremost, when people ask you what kind of industry you're working with, you will always say that I'm working for an aviation industry, right? You don't say I'm working for Boeing directly. Okay? I work for an aviation industry. So aviation industry is something that includes everything. If you say airline manufacturing, airline flying, operating, airline flying comes for the pilots and for the cabin crews. Manufacturing comes, it's an example what I'm quickly giving up. Okay, manufacturing comes manufacturing, operating. Okay, operating comes for your airlines, that is your Indigo, your Jet Airways, your Aquair Airlines, all those things. Now manufacturing comes for your Boeing and Airbus. Okay, these are the two major players in the market, so I'm telling you about Boeing and Airbus. Then you have ground handling. Ground handling exactly like how you have GGI, that is the Globe Ground India in Bangalore Airport. Since you all are in Bangalore, I'm stating the example of Bangalore Airport. Okay, ground handling agencies is the GGI, the Globe Ground India, which handles the certain international flights like your Qatar, let's say your British Airways. All this is actually handled. The check-in, the reservations, everything is done by the ground handling agencies, like your Air India SATs do it. Yeah. Then you have certain training centers like your schools, your colleges. Then you have a certain training centers only made for aviation, like a diploma courses and things like that. Then airports and regulatory bodies. Here comes your ICAO, IATA, okay, your NAA, your AAI. All these comes under this topic. So in general, when people are asking, you don't suddenly say that I'm a pilot. You say that I am into aviation industry. Then they would ask you what in aviation industry. That time again, you're not supposed to say that I am a cabin crew. Okay. But people tend to say that. They usually say I'm in airline flying. Okay. So that means either you are a cabin crew or whether you are a pilot. Now, in general, people want to know what exactly your job is. Then they would ask, okay, what in flying? Again. So that differs. That's how the procedures goes. Now, aviation industry in India. Now, how did this aviation industry emerge into India? Okay, 18th century is worldwide. Okay, so we need to know how this came into India. Now, it is as we all know, it is still doing great wonders, okay? Technology-wise, let's say networking-wise, anything, it is doing a great job, okay? From the modern science, it was developed. Now, uh, if you see the gradual growth, as I said, from the world, it started in 18th century. So from the world itself, there is a tremendous change happening, right? Now, if you see about, let it be the civil aviation or let it be the military aviation. Military aviation is totally different from us because we don't need to put our head into military sectors. But still, if you focus on the military sectors, we didn't have any such sort of, aircrafts in the beginning. Okay, now we have loads of fighter aircrafts, right? So India is becoming a developed country. Okay, now civil aviation is where general travel comes up with. Okay, more and more of aircrafts are coming up. More and more of what do you say? Okay, anyone is having any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I believe I felt like someone stopped me. Okay, then. So as and when your civil aviation is keeping on increasing, okay, new aircrafts and new airlines are coming into the markets, right? So like your Skyjet Blue, something around has come up now with a new aircraft positioning. Your ATR's aircraft has come up. So new, scientific development, modern sciences have been put up into it. New technologies development have been coming up. The most emerged technology is okay, it's an example. It's in Emirates. Okay, if you see the Emirates, you have an onboard Wi-Fi. You have, you could watch movies. You could watch your matches or any such kind of thing, because that is one of the majorly developed aircraft or majorly developed airline. Now, quickly moving on to the next point. So if you talk about India in the aviation sector, it is standing in the 10th position in the market. Okay, now, so that's what I said, it is becoming a developed country. Okay, so around approximately 4 to 5 years before, it was in the 12th position. Now, recently they've come up to the 10th position in the civil aviation industry. Okay, now, so how many customers did 2013 serve? Okay, in the Indian airports were around 16 million. Now, according to the reports, okay, this is going to be doubled in 2020. Now it is 2022. I have not mentioned it. Now it has been tripled. Okay, so 16 billion into 3. So, in 2022, that much of passengers are traveling every year from entire airport. It is not just one single airport, it's the entire airport. Now, if you talk about Bangalore airport, only a day there are around 20 of them traveling. So day by day, even the airport has been increased. If I believe, if you guys have gone to Bangalore airport recently, they have made up 2 terminals. Okay, terminal 1 and terminal 2. So they were not, terminal 1 not able to handle the passengers. Okay, because the passenger capacity was so high day by day, they quickly had to build up another terminal. So that is the reason they made domestic separate and international separate, and where the international passengers goes to terminal 2 and domestic passenger goes to terminal 1. So this is how the procedure comes up. When they are not able to handle the passengers, they quickly think of another option, or the second amendment. Now let's go to the next topic. Now they have a very long history. India is having a very long history from the field of aviation. Okay, the operation comes under the air transport, which is under 3 public undertakings. Okay, in the beginning, India had 3 public undertakings. First and foremost was your Air India. Okay, Air India was the first aircraft which came into existence. Okay, now can you tell me who started Air India? Everyone should be knowing this.
Ratan Tata, ma'am.
Correct. J.R.D. Tata was the one who started, Air India, and for international services too. First, Air India was only in the domestic because he wanted to see whether it has been, is going to win or he's going to lose the business. So first and foremost, he introduced a smaller aircrafts only for the domestic sectors. Then later on, when he found that day by day, okay, the travelers are increasing, he started international services too. Okay, now then we had another thing which was Indian Airlines for domestic services to neighboring countries. Now, please don't go into Indian Airlines. Indian Airlines is a general name. Now, Indian Airlines and Deccan Airlines were the two airlines which had come up by the Air India itself. So, Air India was totally for international services, was taken for international services. So, please don't confuse yourself. And Indian Airlines and Deccan Airways was actually started by Tata itself, but they got merged. Okay, and it became as Indian Airlines. Indian Airlines and Deccan Airways were the two domestic services which was operating. Later on, years passed, Deccan Airways was not able to make up their market shares. So that is the reason Indian Airlines and Deccan Airways got together. They merged their company, and in general, they made up as Indian Airlines. So currently, if you talk about Air India and Indian Airlines, now if you see on the aircraft, Indian Airlines aircraft is also Air India's aircraft. So it is entirely Air India. So don't get confused. Indian Airlines and Air India is Air India companies only. Okay. So now currently, if you see, in the current scenario, Air India's huger aircrafts will fly to international destinations and the shorter aircrafts will fly to the domestic destinations. So at the beginning, since we're talking about the history, in Air India was to the international services and Indian Airlines were to the domestic services. Okay, so that time we can differentiate the aircrafts because they were different. If you could see the image, I have shown you the image. Okay, Air India. Now this is how the Air India flight looks, the first image. Now if you talk about the second image, that were the Indian Airlines, okay, your blue tail, okay, that were the Indian Airlines. Now Indian Airlines is not there. That means these kind of aircrafts are not there. It is totally Air India because 180 seats and all will go for domestic sector. Now 300 seats, about 300 seats and all will go for the international sector. Okay, so now it's totally Air India, Air India, Air India. No Indian Airlines is coming into action there. Okay, but since we're talking about the history, you need to know what was actually flying for the domestic industry. Now moving on to the next one, HAL. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Now everyone knows what HAL is. Everyone have gone to their HAL is. Okay. Now this was founded in 1940. It is an aircraft producing company. Okay, which was founded in 1940, which comes under Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Okay. Now this was started in Bangalore as a repair, overhauling, and assemblage depot. So this was something which was started for your repairing services and your waiting services. Yeah, you had a long waiting hours. Then HAL airport would give you a stop that is called as overhauling. Okay, for a stop, for a transit, okay, for a stopping you could get, and any sort of assemblage deploy. Assemblage is like if any component or anything needs to be changed in the aircraft, then the HAL team would do that. So it is a kind of repairing work. Okay. It is not only that, it has grown so much that later on it started implementing the manufacturing also. So HAL manufactured aircraft are there. They only manufacture the smaller aircraft, but still now the manufacturing plant have been grown for the HAL. Now, So trainer aircraft also it has been started. That is trainer aircraft is totally your pilot's training aircraft. Okay, don't get confused. The trainer aircrafts are totally for your pilot training. Okay, so if at all a pilot needs to be taking up a course, he needs to be completing certain flying hours. Okay, let's say 200 flying hours or 60 flying hours like that. So for them, these trainer aircrafts were taken up by the so these HAL were producing those kind of aircrafts. Now this is not only for the civil aviation, they were also taking up for the defense industry. So it is not only for just airspace, they were also taking up for the military industries. Now it is totally managed by the military of defense, so no one else has an authority on it. No airport authority of India can go and access it. It is totally managed by the higher authorities, which is called as MOCA, MOCA, or it is totally managed by the defense people, okay, the army guys. Now, what are the milestones? These are the important history which we need to be remembering. In 1932, Tata Airlines. So these were the first airlines which came into existence, which was actually started by Mr. J.R.D. Tata. Then 1946, Tata Airlines became Airlines, so Air India. So first and foremost, you should know that J.R.D. Tata bought his aircraft in the name of himself. It was Tata Airlines. Then, and when the years increased, they changed the name to Air India. So that is how it became a national carrier. Now, in 1963, Indian Airlines Corporation was established and began its operation. So, a new company, that is Indian Airlines, Corporation, that is a company for this particular aircraft was formed. So, by 1953, it has a drastic change because more number of aircrafts came into existence. So, when they had started, it was just one or two. But later on, when they found that the need for the aircraft is increasing, they had to start up with a company to get to know about their development, to get to know about their manufacturing, to get to know about the cash inflow and outflow. So that's the reason they start up with a corporation. Now, 1981, Vayudoot was found. Okay, it's a joint venture by Air India and Indian Airlines. I told you Indian Airlines were flying for the domestic sectors. So later on they got merged together. So Air India and Indian Airlines got merged together, and in general they were called as Vayudoot. Okay. Now 1993, Vayudoot was merged into Indian Airlines in 1993. Okay, so it was merged in 1993. 1996, Alliance Air was formed. Okay, so this was a subsidiary started by the Air India, Alliance Air. Okay, so where it could fly for region to region. Okay, then in 2005, Indian Airlines were rebranded as Indian. Okay, Indian Airlines were rebranded as Indian itself. Then 2011, it got merged into Air India, and later on, post-merger of Alliance Air. So Alliance Air also got merged into Air India, and it was together renamed as Air India Regional. So in general, if you go to any place, they will only talk about Air India. They will Alliance Air or Indian Airlines will not come into action because now everything has been merged with Air India. Okay. Now, list of major airlines in India. Number one, these are certain airlines which is coming up. Now, if I have missed anything in this list, I will say you, by the word of mouth, you need to be quickly noting it down. Air India is the first one, major airline. Okay, since it's the national carrier, it should always stand the first. Okay, now next one would be your Sahara Airlines. Okay. So Sahara Airlines now is called as Jet Connect. Okay, the Jet Airways have a smaller aircraft, so that aircraft is called as Jet Connect. Okay, they are sub-regional aircrafts, which was actually founded in 1991. Then Jet Airways, which began its operation in 1993, now at present, Jet Airways is not there. They suffered some sort of bankruptcy, and they are not there now currently. Okay, then Go Air, which started its operation in 2005. You have Spicejet, which started its operation in 2005 again. Indigo became operational in 2006, and now it is drastically improved. So every day they gain profit. Okay, Indigo is the high class, traveling company. It's a low cost airline, but this is the airline which travels a lot, because you have around, let's say 30, no, 56 to 70 flights from Bangalore itself, and that is continuous. Every five minutes you have flight. Now, if you talk about Delhi, Delhi is having around 150 aircrafts per day. Per day departing. Okay, so it's a busy schedule for Indigo. Then you have Air Costa, which started as operation in 2013. If you talk about Vistara, it's a joint venture which again Tata Sons, okay, JRD Tata, and Singapore Airlines. So these two came together and started up a aircraft called as Vistara. Okay, then you have small chota airlines. Okay, that is your TrueJet, your Air Pegasus. Then rest of comes under international thing. Now we have AirAsia also, okay, which is flying to the international sectors. Okay, currently now. And that was recently launched in 2002 or something in the Indian airports, because AirAsia was totally for Malaysian aircrafts. So later on, they came into India with the view of flying into, what do you say, regional sectors. So it was recent that they came up. That is the reason it has not been fixed up into this. But you can make a note of AirAsia also, because right now AirAsia is also there. Okay. Then you have certain international airlines which we don't want, because we are talking about aviation in India. So let's keep that in mind. Now, what is the benefits of this aviation? Now, expansion of air traffic has made the world look very small. Indeed,
Your
it is
voice is
possible to
breaking,
make a
ma'am.
lot. My voice is breaking? Now able to hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what is the benefits of the aviation? Benefits of aviation is that it is, technology is improved, science is improved, so it is very easy for people to travel the whole world within 2 or 3 days. So it happens. So, as and when the modern aircrafts comes up, okay, your development of traveling is becoming, your time is consuming less. Okay, it's a time saving process. So first and foremost is the time saving process. Then you have intimate international intercourse. That means you are able to connect internationally. It is not just inside your country you are waiting up. You can move on to international countries and talk to them, learn about them. You can have a business with them. All these kind of interactions happens only because of aviation industry, right? You can't go on a train and reach some other place. So that's how this is one of the benefit. Then if you come on the next things, this has got increased facility. Okay, people never tend to get tired. Okay, so even if you're sitting for 16 hours in an aircraft like Emirates, you never feel tired. Okay, even if it is, let's say now a flight is there from, okay, let's talk about UK itself. If you have from India to UK, it's a 16 hours flight. Okay, and if the flight is, fun, let's say you have videos to watch, you have food to eat, all these kinds of stuffs are there, then yes, it's a great, you can sit for 16 hours wherever you want. Okay, and first time travelers, of course, they will have a mind that, yeah, I'm on air. So that mentality would always be there. So it is every day a vast facilities have been coming up for the aircraft, and the greater that facilities, it is more important that you get an intellectual understandings between your customers.